My name is Daniel Carter. I'm 26, born and raised in Portland, Oregon, but I've been working in Seattle for the past 3 years. This is the story I've never told anyone. I call it, she said, your mom sent me, then hugged me like her husband. It started the way most unexpected things do, quietly, almost forgettably. I was sitting at my desk at the architectural firm where I worked. One of those late winter afternoons when the sky can't decide if it wants to rain or just hover like a dull bruise above the city. My inbox was swollen with deadlines, my coffee cold. That's when I heard her voice for the first time. Are you Daniel? I looked up. A woman stood in the doorway of my office. Dark hair tucked behind her ears. A wool coat still damp with the drizzle. She wasn't one of our usual clients, I could tell. Something about her posture, alert but not businesslike, made me sit straighter. Yes, I said cautiously. She smiled, but it wasn't the casual kind strangers throw around. It was as though she already knew me. Your mom sent me, she said. The words caught me off guard. My mom lived 2 states away, and she wasn't in the habit of sending people to my office. I opened my mouth to ask what she meant, but before I could, she stepped forward and hugged me. Not politely, not quickly. She wrapped her arms around me the way someone might hold a man they'd been waiting for, longing for. Her cheek pressed against my shoulder, and I froze, my brain trying to reconcile every piece of information with the reality of her warmth against me. And then, just as suddenly, she let go. I'm sorry, she said, though her eyes betrayed no real regret. I shouldn't have done that. I blinked, still stunned. Do I know you? Her lips curved like she was considering the question herself. Not yet, she said. Her name was Elise. That much she told me as we sat across from each other in the firm's glass-walled meeting room. She worked in publishing, lived not far from me, and claimed she had bumped into my mother at a gallery opening while visiting Portland. She told me you were here in Seattle, Elise said, stirring the tea she'd accepted from the receptionist. She said you get so wrapped up in work you forget there's more to life than deadlines. She thought maybe I could remind you. It sounded implausible, almost absurd. My mom wasn't a matchmaker. She barely tolerated my last girlfriend. But there was something in Elise's tone, something intimate and certain, that made me hesitate before calling her bluff. You just came here? I asked. Yes. Her gaze held mine. Don't you ever feel like life only moves when you step outside the rules a little? Her question lingered. I didn't answer because deep down I did feel that sometimes, and she seemed to know it. The days that followed blurred in strange, vivid strokes. Elise became a sudden constant, texting me after work, showing up with pastries in the morning, insisting I take breaks to walk along the waterfront. My coworkers started to notice, teasing me lightly. I shrugged them off, but part of me wondered the same thing they did. How had she slipped so seamlessly into my life? One evening, after a long day, she invited me to her apartment. It was tucked above a bookstore, the kind of space that felt alive with character. Plants curling toward the window, shelves stacked with novels and records. She poured wine, put on a record, and asked about my childhood. I found myself talking more freely than I ever had with anyone, confessing details about my parents' divorce, my strained relationship with my father, my lingering guilt over leaving my mom behind in Portland. When I stopped, I realized she was looking at me like every word was sacred. You carry so much, she whispered. You deserve someone to help you carry it. The intimacy in her voice was undeniable. And when she kissed me, slow, deliberate, I didn't resist. Weeks turned into a strange season of closeness and uncertainty. Elise seemed to know everything about me, even things I hadn't told her yet. She'd mention my favorite childhood cereal or the street I grew up on. When I asked how she knew, she'd laugh and say, "Your mom and I talked for hours." But when I brought it up with my mother over the phone, her reaction chilled me. "Elise?" she repeated. "I don't know anyone by that name." Pressed. I told her about the gallery, about the supposed meeting. My mom's voice was firm, unyielding. "Daniel, I haven't been to a gallery in months, and I've never sent anyone to see you." The call ended with me staring at my phone, a knot tightening in my chest. I confronted Elise the next evening. "You lied," I said the moment she opened her door. "My mom's never met you." For a flicker of a second, her face betrayed something. Fear. Maybe? Then it was gone, replaced by a soft determination. "I didn't lie," she said evenly. "I just told the story differently. But does it matter how we met? If we were meant to find each other? It matters if you manipulated me." I shot back. Her eyes glistened. "Daniel, don't you feel it? What we have. You told me things you've never told anyone. Doesn't that mean something?" It did mean something. That was the problem. I couldn't deny the pull between us, the way my soul felt less heavy when she was near. And yet, part of me recoiled because trust, once cracked, doesn't seal easily. "I need time," I muttered, stepping back. Her expression darkened, but her voice was soft. "I'll wait, as long as it takes." The following week at work was unbearable. My boss noticed my distraction. My coworkers whispered. Then, in a moment I'll never forget, Elise showed up at the firm unannounced again. This time she wasn't smiling. "I need to talk to you," she said, her voice trembling. I pulled her into an empty office. She shut the door, leaned against it, and whispered, "He found me." I stared at her. "Who?" "My husband." The word landed like a blow. I didn't speak. Couldn't. She wrapped her arms around herself and said, "I didn't tell you because I thought I could escape. I thought being with you was my way out. But now, I don't know what's going to happen." The room spun, every truth I thought I knew dissolving into fog. Husband, escape, lies stacked on lies. Yet beneath it all, my chest ached, because I still wanted her, even if she was built from secrets. And for the first time, I wondered if her first words to me, "Your mom sent me," were never about my mother at all. Maybe they were about something darker, something that had just begun to unravel. I barely slept that night. Elisa's words replayed in my head like a record stuck on a crack. My husband. When morning finally came, I stared at my reflection in the bathroom mirror, pale and unshaven, the weight of everything pressing down. What had I gotten myself into? At the firm, I tried to bury myself in design drafts, but the lines blurred, the angles broke. All I could think of was her, Elise, with her haunting eyes and the way she clung to me as though I were a lifeboat in a storm she hadn't warned me about. At lunch, my phone buzzed. A text from her. "We need to talk tonight. Please." I almost deleted it. Almost. But curiosity, or maybe something darker, pulled me in. That evening, I drove to her apartment, every turn of the wheel feeling heavier than the last. When I got there, the building looked different somehow, darker, less alive. The bookstore beneath was shuttered for the night, its windows blank. I climbed the narrow stairs, my heart hammering, and knocked. Elise opened the door quickly, like she'd been standing there, waiting. Her face was pale, and I noticed the faint bruise on her wrist. "What happened?" I asked, stepping inside. She didn't answer immediately. Instead, she bolted the door, then pulled me toward the couch. The record player was off, the room eerily silent. "He came here," she whispered, "last night. He knows where I live." "Your husband." I let the word hang in the air, heavy and bitter. Her eyes shimmered. "Ex-husband. We're separated. But he won't let go. He thinks I belong to him." I wanted to ask why she hadn't told me sooner, why she'd wrapped me into this tangled mess. But the sight of her trembling hands stopped me. Instead, I reached out, instinctively, and she leaned against me, burying her face in my chest. "He's dangerous, Daniel," she murmured. "I didn't know how to tell you." Dangerous. The word rippled through me. Suddenly, this wasn't just about love or lies, it was about survival. The following days were like living in a thriller I hadn't signed up for. Elise became a shadow at my side. She called me when she felt watched. She cried into my voicemail. At night, when I stayed over, she locked the door twice and checked the windows 3 times. At work, I found myself staring at my reflection in the glass conference walls, wondering if people could see the storm unraveling inside me. My boss, Mr. Lowell, pulled me aside one afternoon. "Daniel, you've been off lately. Missed deadlines. Long lunches. Is there something I should know?" I swallowed, unsure how much to reveal. "It's personal." He studied me with a fatherly disappointment. Personal has a way of bleeding into professional if you're not careful. Get a handle on it. His words stung because he was right. I was letting Elisa's chaos seep into every corner of my life. But the idea of leaving her, abandoning her to whatever threat loomed, felt impossible. One night, the storm broke. We were at her apartment when a knock rattled the door. Elise froze, her face draining of color. I felt the tension in her grip on my arm. "Don't answer it," she whispered. The knock came again, louder this time. "Who is it?" I called, my voice shaking despite my effort to steady it. Silence. Then, a man's voice, deep, measured. "Elise, open the door." Her husband. My heart pounded. Elise clutched me like a lifeline. "Please, Daniel, don't let him in." For a moment I considered it, keeping the door locked, waiting him out. But then the doorknob twisted violently, rattling against the bolt. "Elise," the man roared. "I know he's in there with you." The words cut through me like glass. He knew. He knew about me. The police arrived 10 minutes later, though it felt like hours. By then, Elisa's husband had vanished into the night, leaving only the echo of his rage. I gave my statement mechanically, my mind detached, watching myself from outside. When the officers left, Elise collapsed against me. "He won't stop," she whispered. "He never does." I held her, but inside, something shifted. Fear had seeped into my bones. This wasn't romance anymore, it was a collision course. At work the next week, whispers turned sharper. My colleagues speculated about the woman who visited me, the late-night calls, the way I seemed half-present in meetings. One afternoon, as I walked past the break room, I overheard two coworkers. "He's with that woman again," one muttered. "She's trouble. You can see it all over him." My chest tightened. They weren't wrong. Later, Mr. Lowell cornered me again. "Daniel, this is your last warning. I like you, but your focus is gone. Either get your head straight or you're out." I nodded, but my mind was elsewhere. On Elise, on the shadow of her husband lurking just beyond reach. That night, Elise confessed something that made everything worse. We were sitting on her couch, the record player spinning a low, mournful jazz tune. She looked at me, her hands twisting nervously. "There's something you don't know," she began. I braced myself. "I didn't just leave him. I took something." "What do you mean?" "Money," she whispered. "I had to. It was mine too, but he'll never see it that way. That's why he's after me." I stared at her, the air thickening between us. Money, lies, secrets stacked higher and higher. "Elise," my voice faltered. "What exactly did you pull me into?" Her eyes filled with tears. "I love you, Daniel. That's all that should matter." But love felt like the weakest word in the room. The breaking point came a few nights later. I was leaving the firm late when I noticed him, Elisa's husband, leaning against a car across the street. Tall, broad-shouldered, with a face carved from anger. His eyes locked on mine, unblinking. For a long moment, neither of us moved. Then he smiled, slow, menacing, and tapped two fingers to his temple, as if to say, "I know you." I walked faster, my pulse surging. When I got home, my hands were still shaking. Elise called, her voice frantic. "Did you see him?" "Yes." "He's watching you now too," she whispered. "It's not just me anymore." And that's when I realized, this wasn't just her story anymore. It was ours. And unless I made a choice, soon it was going to consume both of us. The next morning, I woke up with that image of him still burned into my mind. His smile in the shadows, the way he tapped his temple. A message, a threat. I wasn't sure what terrified me more. That Elisa's husband was capable of violence, or that I was now tethered to his obsession because of her. At the firm, my drafting pen trembled in my hand. A colleague leaned over. "You okay, Carter? You look like you've seen a ghost." I forced a smile, but inside I was unraveling. Mr. Lowell noticed too. He stopped by my desk, lowered his voice and said, "Whatever storm you're in, Daniel, you'd better figure out fast if it's worth losing everything for." I wanted to tell him the truth, that I was caught between a woman who said she loved me and a man who might kill me for it. Instead, I just nodded. That evening, Elise showed up at my apartment uninvited. She looked exhausted, hair damp from the rain, eyes hollow with sleeplessness. "I can't stay at mine anymore," she said, brushing past me. "He's watching. I feel it." "Elise?" I started, but she cut me off, wrapping her arms around me as though clinging to air. "I just need to be here, with you, safe." Her words hit me in two ways. Part of me wanted to protect her, to believe our connection was worth everything. The other part screamed that she was pulling me under with her. "Elise," I said firmly, pulling back. "You can't just keep running to me. We need a plan. Something solid. This chaos." Her lips pressed against mine before I could finish. The kiss was desperate, consuming, and against my better judgment, I let myself fall into it. Later, lying awake with her asleep beside me, my phone buzzed. A new message. No name attached, just a number I didn't recognize. "You don't know who she is. Walk away, Daniel." I sat up, my pulse pounding. Was it him? How did he have my number? I typed back before I could think. "Who is this?" The reply came instantly. "Her husband. The truth isn't what she told you." I froze, staring at the screen, Elisa's breathing steady beside me. Part of me wanted to wake her, demand answers. But another part of me needed to know what he thought the truth was. "What truth?" I typed. This time, no reply came. The next day, I drove Elise to work. She insisted on not being alone, and on the way she reached for my hand. "You believe me, don't you?" Her voice was soft, almost childlike. I hesitated and she noticed. "Daniel," she whispered, "don't let him get into your head. He twists everything. That's what abusers do." Abuser. The word landed heavy. I wanted to believe her, but now doubt slithered where trust once lived. That night, everything exploded. I got home late from the office. The apartment was dark, too quiet. I flicked on the light and froze. Elisa's husband was sitting in my chair. Tall, broad, eyes like steel. He didn't move, didn't speak. Just sat there, as if he owned the room. My throat went dry. "How the hell did you get in here?" He leaned forward, resting his elbows on his knees. "Door was easy. You really should change your locks, Daniel." His voice was calm, almost polite. That scared me more than shouting ever could. "What do you want?" I asked. "To tell you the truth." He studied me, then smiled faintly. "She didn't tell you we were never divorced, did she? That she drained our joint account before she disappeared?" I said nothing, but my silence was an answer. "She makes herself the victim," he continued. "But she's the one who burns everything down. Every relationship, every place she goes. You're just the latest fire." I swallowed hard. "Why should I believe you?" He stood slowly, towering over me. "Because you already know it's true. You've seen the cracks." The door opened then, and Elise stepped inside, grocery bag in hand. The color drained from her face when she saw him. "Get out," she hissed. But he didn't. He looked at me, then back at her. "He deserves to know what you really are." Elise dropped the bag, apples rolling across the floor. Her voice shook. "Daniel, don't listen. He's lying. He's manipulating." "Am I?" Her husband cut in. His gaze drilled into me. "Ask her about the man in Portland. Ask her why she had to leave there, too." I turned to Elise, my chest tight. "Is it true?" She shook her head violently. "No. He's twisting everything. Please, Daniel, you can't believe him." But I saw it in her eyes. The flicker of guilt, the shadow of truth she couldn't erase. That night ended with him gone, storming out after Elise threatened to call the police. But the damage was done. The silence between us afterward was unbearable. "You believe him, don't you?" she said finally, her voice barely above a whisper. "I don't know what to believe," I admitted. "But I can't keep living like this, Elise. I can't." Tears streamed down her face. "I love you, Daniel. Doesn't that matter more than anything he says? But love isn't enough when it's wrapped in lies." The next day, I made my decision. I called my mom. For the first time in years, I told her everything. The woman who appeared in my life claiming she sent her, the lies, the danger, the husband. There was a long pause on the other end. Then my mother's voice, firm but trembling. "Daniel, you have to let her go. You can't save someone who keeps pulling you under." Her words pierced me because they echoed the truth I'd been trying to ignore. That evening, I went to Elisa's apartment. She opened the door, hopeful at first. Then her face crumpled when she saw my expression. "I can't do this anymore," I said. She reached for me, desperate. "Please, Daniel, don't leave me. He'll win if you do." "No," I whispered, stepping back. "The only one winning right now is the chaos, and I won't let it ruin me." Her sobs followed me down the stairwell, each one tearing at me. But I didn't stop. That night, I slept for the first time in weeks. Not peacefully, but with the relief of a man who'd finally chosen a side. His own. And yet, in the quiet darkness, her voice still echoed in my head. "Your mom sent me." I wondered if I'd ever really know why she said it, or if, deep down, I already did. For a while, I thought that walking away from Elise would be the end of it. But endings aren't always so clean. 2 weeks after I left her, I received another message. Same unknown number. "She's gone." No explanation. No name. Just those 2 words. I stared at the screen for a long time. My stomach knotted. My chest tightened. Did gone mean she left Seattle? Did it mean something darker? I didn't reply. Couldn't. But I couldn't stop thinking about her either. The way she cried in the stairwell. The way her lips trembled when she said she loved me. The way she could make me feel like the only man in the world, and at the same time, the most blind. At work, life crawled back into order. My projects moved forward. My boss eased off. Colleagues stopped whispering. From the outside, it looked like I had returned to normal. But inside, there was an ache I carried everywhere. Part longing, part shame. Sometimes I'd catch myself expecting her to walk into the office again, dripping from the rain, saying my name as though she'd always known me. Sometimes I'd dream of her, hugging me with that strange mixture of need and possession, and I'd wake up tangled in my sheets, heart racing. One Friday night, I drove by her apartment. The bookstore beneath was still there, its windows glowing. But upstairs, the blinds were shut tight. No light, no sign of her. I stood on the sidewalk for a long time, watching, waiting. She never appeared. It was my mom who finally gave me the words I needed. She called me one Sunday afternoon, her voice warm but weighted. "You sound distant, Daniel," she said, "still carrying something." I told her about the text, about the silence since. For a while, she didn't say anything. Then, "Not every person who walks into our lives is meant to stay. Some come to test us, to reveal what we'll tolerate, what we'll sacrifice. And when they leave behind the parts of ourselves we couldn't see until they showed us." Her words cracked something open in me. Maybe Elise was never meant to be the love of my life. Maybe she was the storm I had to survive in order to see myself more clearly. Weeks turned into months. I never heard from Elise again. No calls, no texts, no sudden knocks at my door. It was as if she dissolved into the mist of the city. And yet, sometimes, when I walked along the waterfront at dusk, when the sky burned orange over the Sound, I swore I could feel her presence. Like she was out there somewhere, watching, remembering. Maybe she ran to another city, another man, another story. Maybe her husband found her. Maybe she found herself. I'll never know. But what I do know is this. She left a mark I'll carry forever. Looking back now, I think about the night she first appeared in my office, damp from the rain, saying, "Your mom sent me." At the time, I thought it was a lie, a manipulation. And maybe it was. But sometimes, late at night, I wonder if she meant something else. Something stranger, something I still can't untangle. Because in a way, she did teach me something my mother had always wanted me to learn. That life is bigger than deadlines, bigger than the safety of routine. that love, real or counterfeit, has the power to shake us awake. And though Elise nearly broke me, she also gave me this: a clear-eyed understanding that love without truth is a fire that consumes everything. I've never told anyone this story. Not my coworkers, not my friends, not even my mom. It's mine to keep. The ghost of a woman who arrived uninvited, who held me like a husband, who dragged me into her chaos and left me staring at myself in the ruins. But sometimes, when I stand at my drafting table late at night, the city lights stretching beyond the glass, I whisper to the empty room, "Thank you, Elise, for reminding me how fragile the heart can be and how strong it must become." And in that whisper, there's no anger, no bitterness, just a quiet recognition of the lesson she carved into me, that love is not proven by how tightly someone clings to you, but by how much of themselves they're willing to set free.